Coming up next is Dr. Kimberly Taylor. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you will receive helpful advice from Dr. Taylor, remember, this is not to be construed as a form of psychotherapy, diagnosis, or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Taylor by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. So here now is Dr. Kimberly Taylor.
Welcome to the program today. I want to talk to all the people pleasers out there. You know who you are. The ones who are always saying yes when they really want to say no. The ones putting aside their own needs for the sake of others, then becoming overwhelmed and overcommitted while feeling underappreciated and unloved. A people pleaser is someone who puts everyone else's needs before their own and often ends up making themselves sick from doing too much or being filled with resentment for the lack of validation they receive in return for all their help. Here's what I want to say to you. You have the right to say no. There. I said it. Listen again. You have the right to say no. So why is saying no so hard? What are we all so afraid of? Many believe that we need to please others and worry that disappointing them or rocking the proverbial boat will lead to being cut off from the group or the family or even friends. And so we say yes in order to please others. As a people pleaser, your need to not be the source of irritation, disappointment, anger, or dislike from others is so great that you go to great extremes to try to please everyone around you so that you can be liked and thought of in a favorable way. Or you may want to be the one that everyone comes to for solutions to their problems because you want to be indispensable so that they will never leave you. It feels good to be needed. We feel valued and important when others like us. But if you are not looking out for your own best interests, who do you expect to take care of you? And to know that when you say yes, you really mean no. Who are you hoping will sign up for that little job? And here's another important point to consider. You do no one any favors by saying yes when you really mean no. You have to realize that when you say yes and don't really mean it, then you are giving a gift with strings attached. You are essentially saying, I will unwillingly do this thing for you, but in return, I need you to love me and respect me unconditionally because I do not love and respect myself enough to tell you the truth and believe that you will still accept me. It's a burden you are giving. It is not a gift. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to practice in front of the mirror saying no. Yeah, really, in front of the mirror, say no. It will feel awkward at first, but what I want you to do is to practice saying no until you can own your no. Practice it until it resonates within you. Then the next time you're in a situation and you find yourself starting to say yes when you really mean to say no, you will be able to come up with the right words and stand in your own truth and integrity. So here are a number of ways to say no. Thanks, but no thanks. I have plans already. Sounds like fun. Maybe next time. I'd love to, but I can't. I've got too much on my plate right now. I have another commitment. No, thank you, but it sounds lovely. It's just not a good time for me. That doesn't work for me. I have to take a rain check. If only I could, maybe next time. Sounds great, but I can't commit. I'm honored to be asked, but I can't. I'm trying to cut back. Oh, if only I had a clone. Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't. You've got to be kidding. Not in this lifetime. Sorry, not now. No thanks. No way. No. Don't apologize for saying no. To respect yourself, you have to own your yes and own your no. Practice today. Your very life depends on it. So if you have a question or if you want to give me a call, you can reach me at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. Stay with me. I'll be right back to take your calls after the break. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Sandy Jacoy is here with us. She is definitely the one that you will speak to first when you call in, and will be helping us as we take the calls today. So how are you doing, Sandy?
I'm good. I'm a little, this is a great topic. I've got to tell you that I think this is something that we need to be doing more shows about.
And why do you say that? Do you find that there are people pleasers in your life?
Well, you're talking to one, Kim.
Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is definitely an area in my life that I've had to do a lot of professional and personal growth in, and especially for people, I think, like myself, who feel very virtuous when you're saving the world out there and helping people. There's a great cost to it, So I think this is great. I'm hoping that you're going to be able to give some tips to people out there to stop doing this.
Mm-hmm. I think it is a tough thing for both men and women.
Yeah, do you think there's gender differences in the way people play this out between men and women?
Well, I think women are naturally groomed or conditioned to kind of please and to take care of and to help. So I think that they may fall more into doing this. Whereas men, I think men also want to please, but I think it kind of plays out in that men sometimes say yes, but they have no intention of following through. And women, on the other hand, when they say yes, they really feel like they have to follow through.
That's what I noticed too. I know within my own work that I've done, I've learned that, losing myself in somebody else's request or demand, and it feels like an obligation. It feels like a have to as opposed to a will you, and causes a lot of anxiety and a lot of boundary failure, boundary issues.
Well, we always have that need to please because we have the need to be loved. And we want other people to like us. And so we think that if we do what they want us to do, we will get that love. And that's what we're really seeking in all of this people-pleasing behavior.
Yeah, and I think it really starts with an awareness and being able to honestly assess why one might say yes to a request or say no, and have an understanding of what you're needing out of that and the decision-making process.
So that's part of why I bring this up, because what I know you're going to ask me next is, so how to, because you're always wanting to know how to do.
How do you know? Is it written on my face?
Yes.
How do I do this?
Right. So the first thing is that you make it a more mindful thought process and not just automatically do it. And I think one of the best things to do is at least give yourself that grace period, just that space to think rather than just emotionally react. And once you can think about it and have that pause, then you can put it through your own filter and ask yourself, am I doing this because it's out of a good place and it's just goodwill? Or am I doing this because I'm needing the other person to do something for me or to like me and to make me feel good about myself? And just with that kind of consciousness, you can then start to change what it is that you're doing. But you have to be mindful of it. You have to think about it before you just react.
Yeah, and would you agree, Kim, that even being, having work done, doing a lot of work on this part of someone's life and being able to be more aware of why one would choose to do something or not, that it can be sort of a root, something that might always have to be thought about. It just doesn't come naturally. I think the general tendency of people who are people pleasers their whole life have struggled with this, that there's always going to be a tendency to want to go there.
Yeah. But the point is that we can change, but we have to put a thought process to it. And then Unfortunately, we have to do the work. We have to do the work in the moment that it is happening for us to
That's the hard
actually,
part.
yes, but that is the time that we create change, is changing it in the moment it's happening. Not just having it be a thought process that you think about and say, oh, that'd be a good thing to do, but actually doing the work in the moment when it's tough, when you're fearful.
And feeling really ucky.
Yeah. Is that a psychological term, yucky?
Icky, yucky, blah.
Okay.
All of those are all psychological terms, for sure.
All right. Yes, so that is what is the topic, and if people would like to call in, you can certainly call us at 564-1290 or 866-564-1290, and Sandy will be there to help you form your question prior to coming on air.
Yeah, we've got a call coming in. Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's just go to the calls now. Hi, Dee. How can I help you? Hi.
Hi, Dr. Taylor. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. What's going on for you?
Well, I have a son who is 35, been married for about 8 years to a woman that we really made every attempt to connect with but haven't. And after my daughter's wedding 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, we've not spoken very much. He'll speak with my dad, but with his dad, but he seems to be really estranged from just about everybody in the family. Mm-hmm. And so I keep getting this feeling that I should be, making a little bit, not,
Do you mean that you feel
to call him?
Okay. Do you feel that you should be making more contact with him?
Yeah, or at least attempting to, and just with no expectations that things are going to change, which is a difficult thing to do.
But why? But why have you let this go on for so long?
Because his wife is pretty volatile, and this has been the easier way.
Okay.
More painful, but easier.
Okay, but do you want your son in your life?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like you're going to have to be the one to reach out.
Well, I have, and the other part of the equation is he is willing when she doesn't know. Like if I call on my husband's cell phone, he'll talk to me.
Because if you call on your cell phone, what happens?
He'll get in serious trouble if he's had any contact with her.
So what's going on between you and his wife?
Well, we've had a couple of toe-to-toes, you could say.
Okay. And what is it that she doesn't like about you?
That I won't be manipulated by her.
What does that mean?
Well, she just kind of has this way of wanting everybody, like she has a pretty strong personality, and I do too.
Okay.
And that probably is where we clash, because I'll be the first one to say, no, that's not really what I want to do. I want to spend time with my grandkids, and I want to be swimming, and no, I don't want to go to Costco.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And she can't push me around, so she didn't like it.
Well, but the point is that you cannot push her either, and that you are going to need to be able to find a way to be with her or to like her, or at least just to be civil with her if you want to remain having this relationship with your son, because he is not going to leave her for you. And
right. I wouldn't expect that he would. I would love to see his family stay intact.
Okay.
And I would love to be at a point where I could be, just, in a room with her and be civil with her.
Okay. Well, Dee, that is the part that you do have a control over. That is the part that you can do. You can be civil regardless of what she is doing, and that you have to just keep in mind that the bigger picture is you want to see your grandkids. She is the key in. You also want to stay in in some kind of contact with your son, she also is the key in. So you are going to have to be able to get past her, and that means you're going to have to be the one that reaches out and is civil so that all of that can happen.
Right, and I actually have heard that from we were in counseling with another therapist, and I really respect her. She's extremely talented, I believe, and that was her take on it too. That she is the key, and that would be great if I think we were dealing with a reasonable person. But I'm not sure we are.
But Dee, just for you to go in there and be the voice of reason. She does not have to change for you to do this. So good luck with it. Thanks for calling in. This is Dr. Kim Taylor, and I'm on the phone with Lori. Welcome to the program, Lori.
Thank you.
What's on your mind?
I have been divorced almost 3 years this month, and it wasn't something that I wanted. It was something that he wanted. Still don't have an explanation why, and I'm really having a hard time letting go and hoping that somehow we're going to be reunited.
Okay, so even after all this time, that's what you're holding out for?
I think so.
Do you have contact with him?
Yes. In a way, his birthday was last week, and I texted him, and he responds, and that's about it at this point. We've talked, on and off, not much, but
okay.
There's some.
And how often do you think about him?
Every day.
And when you're thinking about him, what are you thinking?
Oh, I wonder what he's doing. Just thinking about our time that we were married, how long it was. Part of it is just wishing that I had my old life back.
Okay, but let me ask you a question about that old life. If you could have him back today, with everything that you know and exactly how he is, without any changes, would you want it?
No.
Okay. So what you're actually doing is that you're spending a lot of time really obsessing about the dream of what you wish it had been. And that you're really not living in the real world. You're letting your imagination take you away and really deprive you of moving on in your life. So you're putting a lot of energy into your obsession, and you're doing that in order to not feel lonely right now.
Yes.
Okay. But what you know is that he doesn't want you. He's moved on, right?
Yeah.
What was missing for you in this marriage?
Love, affection, communication.
So you are being faithful to someone who really doesn't even care about you right now.
True. I have about 6 or 7 voicemails from him on my phone that I can't let go of. Do I listen to him? No. But I see his name every time I see a voicemail.
This is what I want you to do. Look at the name. If you have to, hear the message again to hear his voice. And then promise yourself, I am no longer going to hold on to people in my life who no longer serve me, who no longer see me for who I need them to see me as. And I let them go. Not because I don't care, not because I didn't love, but because I can no longer hold on to the fantasy that he's going to be the person that I wanted him to be. And I let him go.
Yeah.
In order to recover, to be free, you have to face the reality, and you need to let him go so that you can have your life.
Am I afraid to stop thinking about him? I don't know.
Well, I think that if you were to stop thinking about him, you would open up this whole world. And I think that you might be afraid to get close to someone else for fear of getting hurt again.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So you've really been avoiding some really real feelings that you have had in order to kind of protect yourself from having to deal with the reality of what has happened.
Yes.
This person wasn't the right person for you. They didn't love you in the way that you needed. Part of what happens is that if you live in the past, then the future is really not available to you. It's only a repeat of what you already know, and what you already know has been very painful.
Is it unusual for people in my position, or I guess anybody divorced, to build up this wall around them, though?
You are entitled to protect yourself from getting hurt again. We all do that. That's just human nature. But what you have to see is that you're actually stronger than all of this. And you need to be able to find your own strength, so that there are a lot of opportunities out there that you have turned away that could bring you the love that you were missing, the life that you wanted. Once you are able to let go, then you're free to see what is available out there and to have what it is that you say that you really want, which is a life that has love and meaning and purpose, and that you're not sitting around waiting for somebody else. And it's not only just letting him go, it's letting yourself off the hook so that you can get up and start to live your life again.
I almost want people let me rephrase that, to feel sorry for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sad.
Well, but I understand that, Lori. I really do, because you've been in the greatest pain of your life. And the one person that you wanted to care, to pay attention, to notice, didn't. You have to care enough about you. You have to love yourself. You need to pay attention to you. And do it now for you. And not do it because somebody else wasn't there for you in your life the way that you needed them to be, and just was not available for that. You're punishing yourself because you think that the reason why he wasn't there for you is because there was something wrong with you.
Right.
Yeah. You need to be really proud of your part, that you tried, that you put in the effort, that you could still love him.
Yeah.
But you need to deal with the reality that it takes two. And if someone isn't willing to do that, you have to let them go so that you can move on, so that you can continue to love and be strong and vital and still among the living.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Take it back. Take back who you are. Stop being defined through his eyes.
I'm picturing, from World War II, the gal, the Rosie the Riveter.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Just Do It.
Yep. Just do it.
And she's got the bandana on and the short sleeves and I think her fist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
Go for it, Rosie.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's where your energy is. That's where your life is. Just listen to your voice come back, Lori.
Yeah.
The other one is small and weak and scared and timid. Go where the energy makes you move. That's your truth.
Yeah. Okay, sister.
All right, sister, go for it.
Okay.
I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Hi, this is Dr. Taylor, and we're on the phone with Tess. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. I'm having a problem with my husband. He's really been working too hard, too long, and I just can't seem to get him to cut back. I mean, he keeps raising the bar on himself to do more, and I see that it's making a difference in his life. He's stressed, he's forgetting more, and I'm really concerned about him.
Mm-hmm. And how old is he?
He's 60.
Okay. And how long have you seen this as a problem, that he's working too hard?
Well, actually, I've seen it for about 30 years, but it's really taken its toll in the last 2 years. I mean, he can't remember things. He's tired all the time, and he's stressed. And I thought this was the time that we'd maybe slow down a little bit, and he would start thinking about retirement. But it's really taking its toll.
Okay. Do you think that you can see this from his perspective?
Well, I try. You know, he wants to provide for us and everything, but everything in our retirement is in line, and I keep trying to talk him into slowing down, and he just won't.
Okay, but what it sounds like to me is that you don't yet know why he won't slow down. What is going on in his head? How is he seeing it from his perspective?
I think it's ego-based in a way because...
Okay, Tess, what you just said to me is that you think. What is missing from this is the fact that you don't know. It sounds like when you're going into this conversation with him, you are wanting him to think about things the way you see it. And what I would say to you is the best thing to do is to go and just sit with him and act as if you are the detective and just ask questions like, what does this mean to you? What do you think about this? Why do you think that you stress out so much? Why do you think that you're working so hard? What does it mean to you? What do you think might happen if you were to stop working so hard? Because some of those questions are going to help to open him up and to share what's going on with him.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea. I think I should do that.
You have a question mark behind that. I hear a but.
I just haven't done that, and I'm kind of beating myself up for having not done that. That sounds like a good idea.
Well, I think when you are saying that this has been going on for a while, the good news about this is he is a very hard worker. He wants to provide. He wants to make sure that he's done all that he can do in the years that he has to work to make sure that you and he and the family are going to be taken care of. That's very honorable. And so you don't want to put him down or to tell him that he's not doing something right. But I think that if you understand what's behind his push right now and he has a chance to be heard, you might know where to go with this at that point in time.
Okay, well, I think that's what my next step is.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
You just need more information, and that information needs to come from his side.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Kim. I appreciate it.
All right, Tess, thanks for your call. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Now we're going to make a bit of a shift, as I would like to introduce my guest, who is Deborah Holmes. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and she is currently the Associate Director at Child Abuse Listening and Mediation, which is called CALM here in town. And Deborah has developed a whole program having to do with postpartum depression. And I want to welcome you to our program.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, this has been something that has really been in the news a lot recently, where we've heard of mothers who have really put their children at risk, whether they're, driving their cars into the ocean or... So there is a lot that goes on with that, and I think that it has to be addressed so that people know what it is and when to get help. This goes far beyond just the baby blues. This is something far bigger than that, and it seems that it can happen to males and females. Is that true?
That is true. And actually, you're so right about it being a spectrum in terms of very many different reactions that women can have. the baby blues is actually a very common thing that women have right after birth. It occurs in about 60 to 80% of women. And it does resolve itself. Normally, it doesn't need any particular intervention. It's when a woman is feeling fatigued and a little more weepy than normal and just feels a little overwhelmed with the responsibilities of a new baby.
Which is normal.
Which is
that
very,
part is very
normal.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes. Not having sleep, being sleep deprived, that's going to cause some problems.
That is just one of the things that happens after you have a baby.
Okay.
But part of the spectrum as it moves along to more serious conditions is postpartum depression, which occurs in about 8 to 20% of women, and there are various factors that contribute to that. And what you just mentioned, the woman that drove her children into the ocean, I don't know the details, but you might assume that that woman had postpartum psychosis, which is a very serious illness, and which leads women sometimes to take their own lives or those of their children.
So let's talk about what are the symptoms that move it from just having the baby blues and being sleep deprived, that it really moves it into that spectrum that you are saying, so that people out there will really understand what is that difference. What should they be looking for?
Right. Actually, postpartum depression, there are some of the same symptoms of feeling fatigued, excessive fatigue, a loss of appetite, not being able to sleep. And then also with postpartum depression, sometimes there are intrusive thoughts about I'm not a good parent, or even worries about hurting their children. But these thoughts about hurting a baby are more what we think of as cognitive dissonant. They're not really what a mother wants to do or will do. They're more just worries. So that condition usually will require some kind of help and intervention, because if it goes untreated, it may continue sometimes for months or even years. And it's a bit similar to a depression that anybody might have. Some of the symptoms are the same, but this mom has a baby to care for. And that, of course, complicates the situation in that she is caring on a daily basis in a very intimate way for this little new one that just came into the world.
And so someone watching her, someone who knows her, whether it's her husband or a family member, when should they seek help?
I think that if this feelings of fatigue and weepiness and so on don't resolve themselves within the first couple of months, because that is normal, then you should start to think about perhaps talking to somebody. And there are wonderful social supports in our community. It doesn't have to be a medical professional or a mental health professional. There are organizations like Postpartum Education for Parents that have a warm line. And people are available 24 hours to talk to somebody and talk to them about what they're going through. Sometimes just having your feelings normalized and being educated about what might be going on for you and trying to understand the various dynamics of why you may be feeling this way can be enormously helpful. However, if it proceeds and progresses and doesn't seem to be getting better, then a person might need mental health help, medical help, maybe a medication evaluation.
Okay. And I actually like your term that it's a warm hotline, meaning it's not a hotline, but it is a warm line that people can call and get support and get feedback, and to just know that they don't have to do this all on their own. They don't have to deal with the social stigma that there's something wrong with them, that this is something pretty normal that happens. But when it gets into that extreme state, when you are going to do harm to yourself or to others, that you really do need to be reaching out and finding help.
That's quite right. And I think that there is still some stigma around this for mothers. I think that sometimes people feel, there are some myths out there about motherhood, about when you have your baby, it will be the most wonderful experience in the world. You'll fall in love with your baby. You will be so happy. This will be the fulfillment of your dreams. And sometimes actually it's the opposite. Women start to feel overwhelmed with the responsibility. Maybe there are conflicts in the relationship with the father. Maybe that mother is very isolated. Maybe she has a history of abuse in her own background. Maybe she has no extended family to look to for help. So all of these things can contribute to a feeling of, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I didn't want to be a mom, and maybe I'm not very good at this. And so I think those myths out there about motherhood can actually contribute to making people feel worse. Parenting is stressful. And having a baby is a very big responsibility. So it's not surprising that mothers do feel overwhelmed at times.
Okay, so those can be some of the causes.
They can indeed. And we do know as well that if people are living in poverty or are in a relationship where there's domestic violence going on, or have other kind of risk factors in their lives, that can contribute to having an onset of postpartum depression.
Okay. And what we do know is, because a lot of people did speak out, that this doesn't just happen to the poor. It is everyone that can be struck with this, and that even includes a lot of celebrities who have come out and really been able to help this by saying that they too have suffered from this. And I think that's very helpful, just to know that you aren't a bad person if this happens to you. Something is going on with you, and you do need to get the treatment, and you do need to get help.
Absolutely. Brooke Shields did come out, and she wrote a book about her experience as well. And you're quite right, it cuts across all socioeconomic groups. Another factor that people perhaps don't think about is if they have any family history. Some of us have a genetic propensity more towards depression than others. And this can also affect you after having a baby. Having said that, women can have this condition when they've had no mental health history whatsoever. So it really does feel like almost like a random thing in a certain way. And it's so important for women to be educated that this could happen to them.
All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break here, but I'm here with Deborah Holmes. And if you would like to reach CALM, you can certainly do so. Do you have the phone number for them to reach?
I do.
Okay.
It's 965-2376.
Okay, and we'll be right back after the break. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. I am here with Deborah Holmes. She is the Associate Director at Child Abuse Listening and Mediation. It is called CALM. And what does untreated postpartum depression do within families? How does it really affect the people within the families, and how does it affect the children?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because untreated postpartum depression affects everyone in the family. It's not just the mother who's going through it. We know that marital satisfaction and relationships can be very stressed after the birth of a baby, even when everything is well. When your spouse has depression, this can create extreme stress between the couple. Also for the baby, we have to think about what the baby's needs are in the first few months and year of life. Babies are exquisitely dependent on their mothers and looking to their mothers for all of their needs, feeding their basic needs, but also their social emotional needs, being held, being looked at, being talked to, being rocked. All of these things really grow a baby's brain, and that's what we want to see. When a mother's depressed, unfortunately, sometimes she's not attuned to the baby. When you're depressed, you feel as though you're under a black cloud. It's hard to be attuned to anybody. You're tired. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning sometimes. And so the beautiful dyadic, we call it a dyadic relationship between a mother and a baby, when there's secure attachment and nurturing and love and joy, sometimes that can really diminish and affect the child's development as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the person that you have not spoken to is that for the mom. She has to be devastated when this happens because she knows this isn't how she is supposed to feel. It's not how she wants to feel. So for her, too, it's got to be a really devastating experience.
It really is. And it's devastating in so many ways. And I think still women fear speaking out and saying to their spouse or their family or their mother or their sister, I feel terrible and I don't know if I can take care of this baby and I really need help. So you're absolutely right. It's a devastating thing, and yet it is so treatable. Mm-hmm. And that's why we want to break the silence about this and say, it's okay. This happens to a lot of new mothers. You're not alone. There is help available. There is hope. And here's how we can help you.
All right. So talk to me about the programs that CALM does have to treat this.
First of all, we have group support, and this can be terrific in terms of breaking down social isolation and helping mothers talk together and build support between them for what they're going through. Part of the group is education about depression, what it is, how your brain reacts when you're depressed, and what might be possible ways of helping your depression yourself. I mean, there are some self-help things that people can do to do with diet and exercise and taking care of oneself. So we have that kind of group support going on. There is one group at CALM we have that you can drop in. You don't even have to make an appointment or enroll. You can simply walk to the building and join the group. This one is geared up for Spanish-speaking mothers because there is an English-speaking groups through PEP. So we try to complement the postpartum education for parents. We also have more intensive therapy for mothers and fathers who need more individualized help and treatment. And if the mother and baby need help together with the attunement and attachment relationship, we can also provide that.
Okay. And do you have any upcoming events or a conference or workshop that you wanted to share about this too?
We do. We're so excited. In April, it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. On April the 25th, from 8 to 12:30, we have a wonderful conference coming up, Maternal Mental Health and Child Safety, the Tragic Consequences of Untreated Maternal Mood Disorders. And our featured speakers are George Parnham. You may know him. He is the criminal defense attorney for Andrea Yates. And she did actually kill her children due to postpartum psychosis, and a wonderful local doctor talking about brain development and child neglect when a mother is impaired.
Okay, and what is the phone number or what is the contact info?
You can go to our website, www.calm4kids.org, and you can find a link to register to this conference.
Okay. Deborah, I would like to thank you for coming in, and I think that if there was something that we wanted to say to anyone out there who was suffering from this, is there is help, and don't think that you need to do this all by yourself.
Correct. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back after the break. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. So as we come to a close, I want to thank again Deborah Holmes for coming in from CALM. If you would like to reach her or reach out and find out about some of the programs that they have there, you can reach them at 965-2376. And of course, that's at the 805-965-2376 number. And I will also post this on my website. So what else that we have talked about is, do you have to always please others? Do you always have to say yes, or can you actually learn to say no? And it's really important that you see trying to please all the people will mean that you will please no one, and that includes yourself. And it's very important to know that when you need to say no, it is your way of trying to define yourself and let others know what is okay and not. And if you think about this, you cannot be truly who you are meant to be if you're always trying to be a version of what you think everybody else needs you to be. So I'd really like you to think about that. It's a lot to talk about, and we will talk more about that in future programs. For now, I want to thank you that you have joined me, and I would welcome any of your comments. And if you have questions, you can email me at drkim@drkimtaylorshow.com. You can also go to my website to find out how to download the podcast or to listen to a previous show. And again, just go to drkimtaylorshow.com. It's all there. This show will be rebroadcast Thursday at 10 p.m. and Sundays at noon right here at KZSB AM 1290. And if you couldn't call in and you could not reach me, I'm going to be taking calls on Sunday, so you can reach me there. And again, just go to my website on how to contact me on that day. So as we close, I want to thank Richard and Sandy for being here to help me. And I'm Dr. Kim Taylor, and I will be back to take your calls next Thursday at 2 to 3. And in the meantime, have a great week. And let me leave you with this one thought. Nobody else has to change in order for you to get better. It's true. If you want something to be different, you can change it. You don't have to wait for someone else. See you next week.